Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cartoon Boom. This is a show where we wake up with the Saturday morning sun, pop down on the floor with a big bowl of sugary cereal, and watch all your favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm your cowardly green shirt wearing gymnast with the munchies, Joseph.
And I'm a deceptively friendly local you'll end up unmasking 20 minutes later. My name's Chris.
And today, for the first episode of 2022's OCTOONBER celebration, we watched Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
Yeah, where is he?
I assume he's in the episodes.
Over here. He's over there.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, there he was. I heard him.
Yeah, he's in the back over there. I found him.
Did anybody suggest this to us, or are we just doing episodes we choose for OCTOONBER?
No, we so all of OCTOONBER are suggestions from everybody. Traditionally, me and you have chosen a few, but this time, because like our goal lately has been trying to whittle our list down a little bit more, everything has been chosen by the listeners for this OCTOONBER. So this one was chosen by Kaitlyn W via email. So thank you, Kaitlyn.
Yes, thank you. So the show Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Aired from 1969 to 1970. Created by Joe Ruby and Ken Spears, produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions, ran for 3 seasons, 41 episodes, originally on CBS from 1969 to 1970, on ABC in 1978, and Boomerang from 2000 to 2015. So I guess another thing I should add, it wasn't just from 1969 to 1970. They added a 3rd season, but it didn't come until 8 years later. So that's where that 1978 season came in. So it's part of it, but it's not part of the original run.
Did they call it something else too, or am I thinking of a different one?
Yeah, it had a couple different names. So I think that later series was called Scooby's All-Stars, and the Scooby-Doo show, I don't know which one was the actual 3rd season.
Sure.
Yeah, so, but it's still part of that series, but it's different. I don't know, but it's the same concept. There's a lot of Scooby-Doo over the years.
What's with Hanna-Barbera just being so confusing about this stuff? Because they did something similar with Jetsons. All their DC hero stuff was like this back in the day. You remember, like, because they had like the Super Friends, which became like
Challenge of the Super Friends,
and all that stuff. That, man, it's so confusing. They can't just stick with one name.
Yeah, they were just figuring it out as they went, I think.
I guess.
So for a short synopsis, a group of teenage friends and their Great Dane, Scooby-Doo, travel in the bright green van solving strange and hilarious mysteries while returning from or going to a regular teenage function.
He is a Great Dane. What a good boy he is, you know?
I've had a lot of Great Danes in my life, actually. That's the kind of dogs my dad loves. Yeah, so I've had many Great Danes growing up.
Were they all like scaredy cats like Scooby, or were they the opposite?
They're, Scooby's a pretty accurate depiction of some of the Great Danes that I've had. Because, yeah, they're like, they think they're puppies, basically. They're kind of the opposite of Chihuahuas. They don't have like a Napoleon complex, obviously, because they're so huge.
Sure.
But they're just big babies, and they are all, at least the ones I've had, have all like tried to be lap dogs. They will just get up and just take over your entire body to lay on top of you.
Oh my goodness. So when like he jumps up into Shaggy's arms all the time, like that might be coming from a real thing, huh?
That's accurate. Yeah. Like they'll do the thing where the dog like puts its paws up on you, like on your shoulders or whatever, but they will like have their paws like up on your shoulders, and they can just literally stand from there. It's crazy.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty accurate.
I like him. I like it. I've never really gotten to meet a Great Dane. Never had the pleasure of being introduced. Though I did go to somebody's house, like an old coworker of Rochelle's. We went over to their house once, and they had a Great Dane that was outside. And this was the biggest dog I've ever seen. On all fours, it was still almost as tall as I was. And I was quite intimidated, even though it was super sweet. It had a lot of anxiety, though, so it was scared of everybody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're the sweetest, but man, they're the opposite of what you would think they would be.
Yeah, seems that way.
So who were some of the actors you played in the show?
So Scooby-Doo, famously voiced by Don Messick. And most of the people that we're going to talk about here in a minute are people that we have mentioned on the show before, but I want to pay some special tribute here to Don Messick. because we have mentioned him before, but I don't think we've ever dived just into how many iconic characters he has voiced over the years. So I'm going to name some of his super iconic characters, and I think you're going to be blown away if you don't know them already. So we've got like Boo Boo Bear and Ranger Smith from the Yogi Bear series, Bandit and Dr. Quest from the Johnny Quest series. When I say series, I mean multiple shows within that IP. So not just like one, like he did one, maybe it goes off the air for so long, a new version of that show comes back. He comes back and does it again. So he's done a lot.
Was Johnny Quest Filmation? I can't remember.
No, I think it was still Hanna-Barbera.
Was it? Okay. You might be right.
Yeah, I believe so. Bam Bam from the Flintstones. Again, multiple series from other Hanna-Barbera stuff. Adam Ant, Muttley, Astro from the Jetsons, Gadzuki from that Godzilla cartoon we watched a year ago.
Yep.
Yeah, who sounded just like Scooby, so that makes a lot of sense. He was Ratchet, Gears, and Scavenger from Transformers. He was Papa Smurf and Hampton J. Pig from Tiny Toon Adventures. And for a while, he voiced Droopy. So it's like, my goodness, this dude has had such an iconic career. It's kind of insane, like the amount of like childhood characters that I remember that he was the voice behind, like so many of them. It's kind of nuts.
Jeez. And he and Frank Welker did a lot of that stuff side by side.
Yeah, a lot of them together. And speaking of, so Fred Jones was voiced by Frank Welker, who we've talked about him, I think, more than anybody else on this show. So I won't dive as deep into him. You know, he's the voice of everyone all the time. He voices us whenever we can't get into the studio and record for the day.
Right.
So there are a few episodes where you're just listening to him impersonate us. That's a given. He still voices Fred to this day, which is crazy. I mean, think about how long that's been. This started in 69?
Yep.
He's still voicing Fred Jones, which is nuts. He's also been taking on the role of Scooby-Doo since Don Messick passed, which I think was, I want to say in 97. I might be wrong, but I think somewhere around there. So he's been Scooby for a really long time too. Shaggy was voiced by Casey Kasem, who was the voice of Robin from a lot of those really early Hanna-Barbera DC cartoons starting in the 60s. And he continued voicing Robin through the 80s. And it was like, seriously, like, I think maybe 4 or 5 different series. He also, like both Don and Frank, was in Transformers. He voiced Cliff Jumper, Blue Streak, and Teletran 1. And what's really fun about Casey, too, is that he voiced several relatives of Shaggy in various Scooby-Doo cartoons in the 2000s, including Shaggy's uncle at one point. Like, you know, you see that that one version of Shaggy in Multiverses. Yeah, he voiced that character at one point, of course, which is super fun.
Uncle Shagsworth or something. I can't remember his name.
Velma Dinkley, voiced by Nicole Jaffe, mostly just known for voicing Velma, but she's had a couple on-screen roles, and once starred in a movie called The Trouble with Girls in 1969, same year this came out, alongside of Elvis Presley. So there you go. That was kind of a cool thing, right? And apparently, as I was researching her too, like one of the top like Google searches with Nicole Jaffe was like, who was Nicole Jaffe dating? So I wonder if there was like rumors or something about her and Elvis back in the day. I don't know. I'm not sure. Daphne Blake was voiced by 2 people in this cartoon. For season 1, she was voiced by Stefaniana. Ooh, that was a hard one. Stefaniana Christopherson, who, again, mostly just known for voicing Daphne in this and a couple shorts and movies. But she did appear, and this is perfect for October and something that you're going to like too. She appeared in a horror film in 1973 called Wicked Wicked that was promoted as being the first ever film presented in Duovision. Do you know what Duovision is?
No, I would assume it is just like side-by-side frames, so.
Yeah, basically you're essentially watching 2 scenes take place side by side throughout most of the film. And it's just in a really abnormally wide aspect ratio so that you can kind of see enough of both frames playing at the same time. Not super well regarded, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, okay. It's something.
It's interesting. And then for season 2, the role was taken over by Heather North, who continues playing that role regularly through 1988. So with a lot of stuff that you and I have watched already for the show, like a lot of what we refer to as the Red Shirt Shaggy saga, that was Heather North through most of that. So she also was a main role in daytime soaps. So she's known mostly for things like Paradise Bay and Days of Our Lives, with like over 150 episodes in each of those 2 shows. So really known for soaps. But anyway, that's our main cast.
And for a few tasty marshmallows out of our big bowl of Scooby-Doo Where Are You cereal, Velma's famous line, "My glasses, I can't see without them," was not originally scripted for the show. During a table read for the voice artist, Velma's voiceover actress, Nicole Jaffe, who was nearsighted as well, lost her glasses and uttered a variation of what became Velma's famous catchphrase. The writers liked the line so much that Velma losing her glasses became one of the show's trademark gags, and Velma loses her glasses in the first episode of Scooby-Doo Where Are You? What a Night for a Night, which we did watch. But the actual line is first spoken in Scooby-Doo Where Are You? Decoy for a Dog Napper, which was a later episode of Scooby-Doo Where Are You? So this all started based on real life, essentially.
Based on her actually dropping her glasses.
Yeah. Frank Welker wanted to audition for the role of Shaggy since he had always been cast as a straight man and wanted to do a comedic character. Casey Kasem wanted to audition for the role of Fred because he claimed he was not a comedic actor. So interesting how those roles just switched.
That is really interesting. Especially, it is funny though, because like a lot of the other characters that Casey Kasem voices, especially like in Transformers, they are a lot more of the serious characters. Like Cliff Jumper is like the hothead. So yeah. I think that's pretty interesting. I guess you're right.
Yeah. Given that his voice, like I just automatically associate him with Shaggy, so I can't imagine him not doing that. I can't imagine like Frank doing Shaggy's voice.
Yeah, that is really cool.
The original names for the characters during the show's development, when it was known as Mystery 5 or Mysteries 5, and then later, who's so scared? That's literally the name of it. Yeah, it's W-W or W-Who's and then SS scared. So it's like who's scared?
I'm really glad they changed that. That's awful.
You'll be even happier they changed some of the names of the characters. So Fred was named Jeff, but not the good Jeff. He's the Jeff with the G-E-O.
Gross.
And then later he was Ronnie. And Freddie was actually...
I don't know why that's such a funny name, Ronnie.
He was actually identified as Ronnie in the final storyboards for the first few episodes of the series before they actually went with Fred.
Huh.
Daphne was named Kelly. Velma was Linda. Shaggy was WW. And Scooby-Doo was Too Much. As in, that's just too much. A popular catchphrase of the time.
Oh my God. Yikes. A lot of those are not great. I mean, I get that those are regular names, but I don't know. I don't like it. Too much though is bad. That's really bad.
That feels like some of like Scooby-Doo's later relatives or something. They all had strange names like that.
Scooby-Dumb.
Or no. Yeah. Well, hold on. Like what was Flim Flam? Like, didn't he say something like that a lot?
I don't know. Like I hated Flim Flam. I tried to block that out of my mind.
So for Scooby-Doo's name specifically, Scooby was taken from an earlier Hanna-Barbera show, Moby Dick and the Mighty Mightor from 1967. Yeah, which featured Scooby the Seal.
I'm so glad you said that. Okay, yeah. I was wondering about that because as I was researching that got recommended to me because the internet is always watching. And if you search up anything, no matter what website you go on, you get these little advertisements. It's like, hey, take a look at this. And yeah, that in particular came up and I fell for it. And I was just like, I do want to know what this is. What is Moby Dick? What? And I clicked on it and it was something about Moby Dick as like a good guy, like a hero whale or something. And I was like, what is this? Yeah. Okay. Weird.
So Scooby the Seal, and this is something I didn't know. The next part I did know. So Scooby the Seal also had the same voice provided by Don Messick. So that's another one of his things. So another association with Scooby himself. The Doobie-Doo part came, as you would expect, from when CBS executive Fred Silverman, whose name also is where Fred got his, listened to Frank Sinatra Strangers in the Night with the scattered lyrics Doobie Doobie Doo in the flight to pitch the show. And the show was initially rejected for being deemed too scary for kids. And that's really when all the reworks got done. A lot of the names got changed and Scooby-Doo became Scooby instead of Too Much. And so like it was probably it's good.
Is that what they thought was too scary for kids? Was the bad names?
Maybe. No, like I guess they really toned it down a little bit more. Like it went in maybe more horror than comedy. And so maybe they flipped it before repitching it and getting it accepted.
I wonder if that's when they decided to add in the laugh tracks as well, like to help lighten the mood.
The laugh tracks do kind of like work here. Laugh track doesn't bother me in old cartoons.
So I did something interesting with this first episode is like I watched it and then I was just kind of wondering like, how is it without the laugh track and do they exist? And I found out that I guess when this ran in syndication, it ran without the laugh tracks, or at least some of the episodes did. So I found some clips of it without the laugh tracks. And I do think the laugh tracks were fine, but I actually preferred it without. It's still funny and it's still goofy, but it does make it a little bit less over the top.
Okay.
And I think it was a little to its credit, to be honest.
Huh. Yeah, I'll have to check those out then. I didn't realize they came without. Something else I saw kind of with what you're saying in syndication at one point, they got ran, and I don't remember why, but they got run at like a slightly faster speed. And so there was a point where I think it was a new Scooby-Doo series coming up where they were going to not put Frank Welker as the voice actor because they felt like his voice was now too deep to play Fred still. But then they realized, oh, it's because these things are sped up that Fred's voice is a little bit higher pitched. It's not Frank. And so they went back on that decision and brought him back as Fred again.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I absorbed a lot of Scooby-Doo information, so some of it's probably mixed up, but I've got this core information now that I'm going to retain for a while.
I like that, though. Can I ask you a question before we get into this? And I think it's an important one that people are going to enjoy. What were some of the classic Scooby villains that stick out to you?
Oh, man, I am definitely going to get into that later, actually, in my review wrap up. But just to name a couple, the Funland robot, Charlie, the Funland robot guy.
With those beady eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just that blue figure. Yeah. I like him just aesthetic wise. I really like that character. The space kook, I think his name was, the one that's just like the skull inside
the skull in the astronaut suit. Yes. Yeah. Love it. Love it.
And then the creeper, which is one that we actually got to watch, which is great. I'm glad that we got to pick that episode.
I said the robot and the space kook that you did. I also mentioned the green glowing scuba diver ghost, like that old fashioned scuba suit with the big helmet. I love that one. That is one of my favorite ones of all time. And then there's this one that I was really like wanting to see again because like when I saw this, I was like really, really little kid the first time I saw this. I'm saying like 4 or 5 when I was watching this. So these were scary characters to me, like really scary. And I think I remember one of the ones that scared me the most was this red electricity monster. It was like this big red electric thing. And I think it was in like a snow kind of place. But I figured out that wasn't in this show. That was from the Scooby-Doo show, which is in 76, which might have been what ended up being season 3, or it might just be an offshoot. I'm not entirely sure, but that one's a really cool one. It's like I think it's called like the 10,000 volt monster or something like that. Or maybe that's the name of the episode is 10,000 volts. It's a creepy one, man. It really is. And I remember the music is part of what sells it too when it shows up.
I'm looking it up right now because I want to see. I remember that one. That, like,
I remember that one.
Giant gaping mouth and stuff and the eyebrows.
Yeah, that one really got me as a kid, for sure.
That one's pretty freaky. It reminds me of something. I think something from like Sesame Street, but like grown up and like monsterized. God, what was it? But you know, it's like one of those little puppets that has like the big mouths that just go flopping up and down. Yeah.
Yep.
I think it was Sesame Street. But anyway, that's what that reminds me of.
Could be.
Ugh. So let's go and jump into the episodes we watched for today's show, starting with the first one being What a Night for a Night, Season 1, Episode 1. The kids search a museum investigating a legend that when the moon is full, the Black Knight, an ancient suit of armor originally from England, comes alive.
I didn't know that was like the full moon. I didn't realize that was ever related to the Black Knight. Did you? That was news to me.
Yeah, you know, it was news to me and irrelevant because the full moon isn't 2 nights in a row and the Black Knight kept coming alive. So it's almost like they threw that out the window right away.
Yeah, that didn't work out so hot. I got to say, too, did you watch this on HBO Max?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was like the remastered version.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the difference was.
It looks pretty crisp, to be honest.
Oh,
like
yeah,
I was really impressed with how good they look. But like the one thing that was kind of like I don't know, this was just getting to me a little bit just from having a design background and stuff, is that like every character had a super defined drop shadow on them against the the backdrop.
Oh,
and it's just like every scene, no matter if there's light or dark, they have this super dark drop shadow. And I was just like, oh, all right, but it's fine. But anyway, it was just something that I really noticed in the remaster there. But I started looking up images from the original just so I could compare. And the original still doesn't look that bad. Like, it doesn't look nearly as aged as other shows from that era in the least. So
yeah, the animation is very simple, but the backgrounds are really what sell it. Like, they're crazy good.
So good. That might be what really pulled me into the show in the first place. Is the aesthetic of the show is so good. I think that's probably part of the thing that got young Chris interested in horror in the first place, is just like the feeling of it all those like moonlit backdrops that are just so painted into the backgrounds.
It doesn't matter what time of day it is, it's always dark in those backgrounds. It is got a very creepy vibe to it.
So great.
Which is a nice contrast with these like brightly colored, usually cheerful characters. So it was an interesting juxtaposition.
Exactly.
So in this one, we start out seeing this guy just driving this truck with a giant box in the back. The knight from the title, the Black Knight, rises out of the back of this. And then we assume shenanigans ensue, because that's when we cut over to Shaggy and Scooby walking home late from the movies in like a dark, swampy area, I guess. I don't know where they're walking home from, but
who knows?
They end up coming across that pickup truck that we saw just a minute ago, where the knight's armor is the only thing left in the driver's seat, and the helmet falls off and there's nobody in it. So it's like, oh, like what happened? And where's the guy who is driving? They call, the others over, like Fred, Velma, and Daphne. And so they're all talking about like, oh, well, what should we do? Like, what's going on here? They see Jameson Hyde White, professor of archaeology, like his name on the side of this box. And they see that he was going to deliver it to this museum, this local museum. So that's where he was on his way to. And they decide to take all of this to the museum to try to find out what happened.
Kudos to them, because I'm sure like they could have sold this on the black market, and maybe gotten some more money to fix up their van, to buy some munchies, whatever it is they want to do back then. But no, they took it to the museum like good citizens.
They're self-employed sleuths. They are committed to their current job.
They're committed to their job, even though selling it probably would have done better.
I mean, if we're going to split hairs like that, there are multiple episodes where they could have become millionaires instantly.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
They did not.
And yet they didn't. Anyway, so they go to the museum. They talk to Mr. Wickles, who is the curator there. And as they're kind of talking to him, Scooby's doing the thing where he kind of bumbles around and he finds these lenses that come into play a little bit later, as these are sort of like
glasses that are kind of like goggles.
Yeah, they're like goggles.
Yeah.
Turn out to be these like really zoom in, like archaeologist goggle things. I don't know that they're real.
Kind of stuff you would see like people who were trying to appraised diamonds or something also wear.
Yeah. Or like, I don't know. It made me think of like, I've seen these at a lot of steampunk like cosplays.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. So, and then they're just like, they see that these belong to the guy that went missing. But wait, he never made it to the museum. So how did these end up there? Hey, gang, we better head back to that museum after dark and break in and figure this out for ourselves, which is what they do.
Yeah. Mr. Wickles also explains to them the Black Knight legend about the full moon and how it comes to life and everything, you know, doing what every typical suspect that we come to know of Scooby-Doo is going to do, which is try to deter them from coming back. It's like, it's always the guy who tells the legend. It's always that person, especially in these first few episodes.
They got to make up a story to scare people away.
Yep.
And which makes me wonder if every scary story is just like some old man trying to scare away teenagers so he can get away with a crime.
That's my assumption. That's what Scooby-Doo has taught me. I don't trust anyone telling me any kind of scary legend.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, this guy's an obvious art thief.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, I'm questioning every scary story I've ever heard now, and I'm trying to think back. Is somewhere behind there, is there some old man probably robbing a local general store, you know, behind the scenes?
Most likely.
As a monster.
So, but you know, you're right, though, in that the crew or the gang does break into this museum. And I was very surprised by that. In this first episode, they had the gall to be like, we're just going to go there after hours. Shaggy. Also, we find out that Shaggy is a accomplished gymnast. And like they make Shaggy go up there and like dive through the window. It's a whole thing because like they have a ladder. Like, all right, ladder's not tall enough. Let's get the jack from the car and make the ladder. And then, make that go up. Oh, still not tall enough. All right, Shaggy, just jump. You're a gymnast. So he dives into the window, stumbles through.
It's like 3 stories up too, man. Like it's not like some small feat.
We see here and in another situation where Fred clearly doesn't care about the safety of his companions.
No.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think Fred is like slightly emotionally removed from all of his friends.
He's very cold.
Like he's I don't know. That I like that in other shows they kind of lean into it and he's all about just setting the traps and he's not really a good leader. But yeah, it's kind of funny here. Like there's a lot in the show that I just didn't even think about later. Like how sassy Velma is also. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
She's super sassy.
Velma's great in this. And Daphne has no personality. She barely talks.
I do feel bad. Like, I mean, she has a little bit of personality, but like she definitely gets the least development out of anybody. And like, I don't know, like Daphne's reactions just seem to be the everyday normal person reaction to stuff. Almost like everyday skeptic reactions to things of like, I mean, there's an episode we'll talk about later of something happens right in front of her and she's just kind of like, yeah, right. And then disappears.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of like she's gone for most of the episode. So it's just kind of like, yeah, let's just get rid of her so we don't have to write her anything.
Yeah. It just seems like her personality trait was just the cute one. That was what they were offering her up as early on.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. But so they get in here. Shaggy lets them all in once he's inside. They do the thing that they do in every episode pretty much where they split up. We're gonna talk about how this follows a format per episode that's very reminiscent of when we talked about Inspector Gadget, about there's like these certain like beats that they hit every single episode. Yeah, this is definitely no exception. It definitely does the same things each time. Like the gang inevitably splits up every time. And the split is usually either Shaggy and Scooby removed from everybody else or Shaggy, Scooby, and Velma together away from Fred and Daphne. So it's going to be one of those 2 splits in every single episode we watch. And in this one, it's the Shaggy, Scooby, Velma trio. And then Fred and Daphne, I don't think we even see what happens to them for quite a while.
The only thing we really get to see of them that's of note is when they pass by the room that has all the sarcophagus in it. And we see one of them open slightly or close with somebody's hand inside of it.
Oh, like, yeah. They don't even notice.
Yeah, they don't notice that. we get to see as something that Shaggy, Velma, and Scooby don't notice is as they're walking by this like ancient statue, its eyes kind of follow them. So like, oh, so maybe there's this and the Black Knight. It's like, what's going on here? And I actually like the way they left that kind of a mystery.
I remember that freaking me out as a kid, for sure. Like, I thought that was spooky. But and one thing that's kind of funny is like, so our trio of Shaggy, Scooby, and Velma are like, they keep walking through this museum, right? They're walking from room to room. Yet in every room, the Black Knight seems to still be there in the background, no matter where they go. If they're walking from right to left into a room, and then you see them walking left to right into a completely different room with other stuff in the background, that Black Knight is still standing there. And I'm like, wait a minute, can he teleport too? Or do they just keep doubling back and they're not realizing it? I don't know what's going on, but that was cracking me up.
In this one where Velma lost her glasses, like she ended up tripping the Black Knight and he fell into the pillory, the little like arm and head trap. And I was like, okay, is this where it ends? Is this where they wrap it up? And they just ran from him after that. It's like, no, you had him. You had him right there.
Him dead to rights.
Yeah.
And then they ran away. That was pretty good. And then so many things happen like after they caught him, and then they still, I don't know, just keep looking for clues, even though they had the guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, like the red paint that they thought was blood at first, and
which was
then
cool. I'm glad I'm surprised that they even mentioned blood at first. Like, oh, this could be blood. I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know they'd go there.
Ended up being paint. They followed it to a sarcophagus, opened the sarcophagus secret room with lots of fraudulent art back there, which the Black Knight shows up, spooks them away. They run and hide. Scooby and Shaggy hop into an old plane, which they accidentally start up and then inevitably crash into the Black Knight, of course.
Yes. And that's what reveals him to us.
Who do you think it is?
The curator, Mr. Wickles.
Oh, it's Mr. Wickles. I had no idea. He's the only other person we've seen.
Yeah. Well, we didn't even get a red herring in this one. So it's like, yeah. So we got Mr. Wickles, and I didn't know how he even fit in that armor. He's just a pudgy little dude. It's like, all right, Mr. Wickles, like he must have greased himself up or something. He
was also a lot shorter than the armor was. So I don't, he had stilts in there,
I guess. But then what I did like about the reveal was that other ancient statue that the eyes were just following everyone. That is where the professor from earlier was trapped. He had just locked him and put him in there. But I guess what surprised me about it, though, was like he didn't make any noises or anything when everybody was passing. He's just like silently watching them. I would have been like moving around like somebody help me.
Yeah, what's funny is like it ends up not even being a statue, which is what we thought it was. Like it's just like a blanket and then a mask over this dude.
Oh yeah.
They walk over and they just pull it right off, and he's just tied to a chair there with a handkerchief around his mouth. And I was like, oh yeah, I would have been like. Instead, he's just watching like, this would be fun.
The reason he got locked up was kind of weird. So, they're not going to go as far as like, oh, the Mr. Wickles has murdered this guy. So instead, he just locked him up there because he didn't want him to spot the fake paintings that he was making to profit off of. And that was it. He just locked him because he knew the professor would be able to spot the frauds.
Yeah. And this is what I'm saying. How good of a painter was the curator that he was replicating museum level paintings at night and then swapping them out and paying like selling them. Like he could have just sold his art without doing it if he's that good.
Yeah, without crime. But no, that wasn't the choice he made. Poor Mr. Wickles.
Everybody would have been better off if, one, that guy just sold his art, and two, the Scooby gang just sold the armor on the black market.
Black Knight armor on the black market. Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. It writes itself.
The next one we watched was Which Witch is Which? Season 1, episode 13. This was a Patreon pick by Semantics. After an unsuccessful fishing trip, Scooby and the gang get lost in the swamp and meet up with a witch and a zombie. There's so many swamps in this. There's like
a lot
half of the scenes are swamps, which is fine because they look cool.
Yeah, swamps are rad, dude. I love swamps. Right away, we just see a big old zombie dude, and we're like,
just
okay,
rowing through the swamp.
Yeah, just doing zombie swamp stuff. just rowing around. I do love that they pull up because where were they going? I don't remember where they were driving. I think they're just lost.
They had just finished an unsuccessful fishing trip.
They pull up to this very obviously not human, then roll down the window and start asking him for directions, and he's just like, "Arr!" And then they're like, "Oh, dang. Oh, he's a dead man. Let's go."
Well, the lantern, they played it kind of clever because the lantern wasn't pulled up to his face at first and he lifted it as they came. So like, oh, so it was kind of a surprise reveal for them, even though we knew who it was.
I guess we could see it. We could see it clear as day, even though it's supposed to be dark out. Anyway, they end up talking to this guy not too long after named Zeke, who was talking about, he mentions the zombie and some witch. It was voodoo witch that created the zombie, that he and his partner Zeb, which I was just like, oh, how progressive. While they were out frog hunting, which they had these huge pitchforks. And they're like frog hunting. And I'm like, I don't know that you need
must have been
pitchforks.
Some giant frogs out there.
Yeah. And is that how you frog hunt? I don't know.
Maybe you can catch 3 frogs on a single pitchfork. I don't know. I've never frog hunt before.
That seems so violent. Anyway, him and his buddy Zeb, apparently during the course of hunting frogs, went out and they saw the witch summon the Zombo. And he was just like, I haven't seen Zeb for a while. It's probably not good. In the meantime, while this is happening, though, Scooby eats jumping beans and makes a mess.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So chaining off of that, they're like, okay, we should clean this mess. But Fred sends Shaggy and Scooby, the least qualified people to find clues, to go to Zeb's place to find out about the mystery and see what's up, while he, Daphne, and Velma clean up Scooby's mess. I was like, okay, that makes very little sense.
Fred's like, okay, so your friend Zeb gone missing. Hey, Shaggy and Scooby, you should go do that. We're going to clean up these cans that fell off the shelf, all 3 of us. So go, get out of here. Go.
When they get there, they end up, Scooby gets spooked by a chipmunk. There's a lot of like wildlife that disagrees with Scooby.
But then he kisses it and makes it better.
Yeah. And then they find a voodoo doll dressed up as Zeb, full of pins. It's like, oh, okay, so this voodoo witch had something against Zeb. That's why he's missing. They then spot the witch and the zombie rowing through the creek. And
as you would,
they see all these signs that are like, beware of the witch, go back, enter at your own risk. And of course, it's a trail that leads right to the witch's shack. At this point, they're all together again. So they end up going to the witch's shack, because why wouldn't you?
In the witch's shack, like the road and I don't know, like the path leading up to it and the shack itself, totally just covered in human skulls. And I'm like, I'd probably, I don't know, that's enough to give me pause.
Yeah, I'd probably heed warning of those signs
before breaking into this house again.
They break into a lot of places.
Yeah, they sure do. And I'm just like, wow, they break a lot of laws.
Yeah.
Like more than I gave them credit for.
They're definitely vigilantes, but the police don't ever seem to mind. They're just like, oh, great, you did our job for us. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I mean, they're local. It's always local small town sheriffs that, they got too much on their mind. I don't know what it is, but, they're at the diner having their cigarettes and pie. So they can't be bothered with witches.
I also want to commend the witch for her craftsmanship, because in the time that they have spoken with Zeke and tried to find Zeb, she has crafted individual voodoo dolls of all of them, with the exception of Scooby. And Scooby, I liked where Scooby grabs Shaggy's and like pokes it in the butt with the little pin.
He's like,
yeah, but he had accidentally backed up into a fork. So it's like, okay, well, there's nothing to this. But she crafted those so fast and then appears and makes Daphne disappear. So Daphne in this one is kind of like a damsel in distress for part of it.
She's gone for a good chunk of the episode from that point. Also, that witch really needs her own Etsy, because those were quality voodoo dolls too. Like they looked good.
That's what I'm saying.
So I would definitely commission some voodoo dolls from her if she had an Etsy store. Probably of you. But that's besides the point. So what leads them to, what I did like though was when the witch did show up with the smoke and everything, Daphne's like kind of calling, bull crap on her, like, nah. And then smoke appears and Daphne's gone. So it's like, whoops. But they noticed, because I guess Daphne has real dirty shoes, she left these big shoe prints on the carpet, but they kind of like smeared, and they're like, oh, that can only mean one thing: trap door, which is what happened. So they get down there, they find these footprints that lead up to an old riverboat, like way down into the swamp. And as we can see, witch and zombie are waiting up on the riverboat because they're cackling behind a door, like, just waiting.
I commend them both for staying in character, even when it didn't seem like anybody was watching. Like, they couldn't have known that they were being watched, but they would just row up and down that river in character the whole time.
I was thinking about that too, because everyone knows this is not a real witch and zombie. This is going to be two regular people wearing costumes, just trying to scare teenagers. But like, even when there's no teenagers around for them to scare, there's still like the person playing the zombie is still just walking around with his arms outstretched, being like, "Brrr." And I'm like, yeah, man, you're really committed. That's pretty good. This is like doing some Daniel Day-Lewis stuff for sure. Like, they're just living it, It's pretty good.
We see the witch doing all kinds of different like magic or floating around and stuff. They run across a pole, like the little pole for the the boat that has a metal tip on it, just the one that pulls you through the river. And so they're curious about that. And they also find a winch at some point, a witch with a winch. And so they're trying to piece this all together. And it comes to a point where Velma feels like she has it figured out, but she won't say anything yet. She's like, okay, I think I got it. And then like the rest of the episode proceeds. It turns into like a back and forth with Shaggy, Scooby, and the witch, where they're kind of running from each other, and they're running from the zombie as well. They dress up as the witch. Zombies fooled for a little bit. I like when there's this one scene where when the zombie catches Scooby and grabs his tail, that he's freaking out funny at first, and then Shaggy throws him a Scooby snack. And I thought it was going to be like a, Popeye's spinach or something. But instead, Scooby's just like, just slaps the zombie's hand, just like, let go or let go. And that's it. And then just runs off.
Just smacks
him. You didn't even beat him up. You just slapped his hand. Yeah. So
he just slaps him, grabs his tail, and then runs off like, fine. Another part that cracked me up in this, and this also is going to come up in the next episode that we're going to talk about too. This, I can't even talk about it without laughing. As they're trying to outrun, Scooby and Shaggy run into both the witch and the zombie. They're getting chased from either side. They're trying to run away. And at this point, the other three, that Daphne's been located. Fred, Daphne, Velma are down below in the kind of the bottom of this ship. And they land they're on an airboat down there. Shaggy and Scooby run around up top. They find a broom, and Shaggy's just like, "Oh, it's the witch's broom, Scoob. Let's fly away." And they hop on it thinking it's gonna fly, and instead they just fall through a hole in the boat. They end up down there in the airboat, but Shaggy's still dressed as the witch. So when they land in the midst of their friends, Fred's like, "Get him!" And then they start beating the crap out of Shaggy. Like, they're all punching and kicking him. And it is hilarious because they're getting so violent.
Yeah. It's like you never see them beat on the offenders like that. But anytime it's Shaggy or whatever, like, they're going to go in with full force.
Yeah, like just seeing Fred and Velma just like punching somebody is hilarious. And I just love there's no hesitation before they're just like, "Get him." So good. And then Shaggy, is obviously doing his little scream, and they figure out they're beating up, their friend and their dog, which is animal abuse. So they have to stop. So
right.
They get away on the little airboat and get out a little bit.
So as they're riding off on this airboat, they get snagged on this armored bank car. And that's where they find all this money that it's like, oh, so this is what they were looking for the whole time. That's why they had the metal tip on the end of that pole, because they were just like going through the river searching for this like this bank car. And they know like if it would have hit that, if the metal pole would have hit that bank car, it would have made a metallic sound. So that's what they were just searching for. But they didn't want anybody else to find it. So that's why they were trying to scare them all off as a witch and a zombie. Ended up being, of course, the only two people that we got introduced to, Zeb and Zeke. Yeah. Because this was before they started doing red herrings at all.
Yes. So, ta-da! Who saw it coming?
Everybody. But there was $1 million in there. They could have gotten away like bandits.
Again, this is what I'm saying, man. They would make better criminals than they would like solve mysteries, I think.
Clearly, because they easily broke into that museum with no resistance.
Exactly. They're breaking laws constantly. And like they keep stumbling across things that would make them rich. So I'm just saying, maybe stop doing the mystery machine thing. Maybe start thinking more Ocean's 11 style.
Yeah. Think of all you've learned from the criminals you have caught. Don't do that and just do it your own way.
Exactly.
So the last episode we watched for today's show is Jeepers, It's the Creeper, Season 2, Episode 3, Patreon picked by Gary K. After finding an injured bank guard on the road, the gang has decided to investigate the true identity of the ghoulish bank robber.
Yeah, that happens.
So this is Season 2. It's really where a lot of the things that we know start to really pick up. And also in Season 2 is when they started doing the Britpop montages,
yes,
where you've got this little British song going on while they're running from a monster.
Yeah.
And it's what you think of where it's like going from one door to the other and then appearing on the other side. It's that kind of montage.
Yeah, like all the tropes and everything are like fully present at this point. Like all the ones that you associate with the show. But yeah, like the thing said that Joseph read, this bank guard is knocked out in front of a tree that he was trying to pass on the road. The Scooby gang pulls up in their mystery machine on their way to a barn dance, which is something.
They were super excited about that too.
Yeah, God.
It's a school dance hayride on an old farm.
The spirit of dance has just got a hold of them and won't let go, and they need to get there. But they find this guy, his car is just torn to shreds, just super messed up. He's knocked out, concussion for sure, because he can barely even speak at this point. He's slurring his words. And he like has a blank paper that he keeps trying to hand to them. And he keeps saying something about, or muttering like, the flame will tell the creeper. They don't really know what the heck he's talking about, but they did find on some of the other papers in this guy's car that he works for this one bank, and they find the bank president's address. So they're like, okay, well, we won't call the cops, but we will take him here to his boss's house.
Well, the sheriff is out of town. That's how they get past that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Luckily, yeah. I mean, if the sheriff's out of town, there is no police force.
No,
which is
no
true.
deputies, nothing.
No one can help you. Nope. Like, hey, you know what? If the sheriff's on vacation, no crime this week, guys. Doesn't exist.
Everybody lay off crimes. I'm taking a vacation.
So they take him up to his boss's house, as you know, you would do in an emergency. And he's just like, oh yeah, this phantom that can walk through walls is constantly robbing our bank at night. It's the darndest thing.
Man, immediately you get shifty eyes toward the bank president, you know. And then he just makes it more suspicious because he's like, hey, I'll keep the bank guard here with me. I'll take care of it. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah. Also, you get out of here. You guys are fun.
Yeah.
Go on and go be kids. They're like, great. We have a barn to dance in. So
I'm sure this bank guard's perfectly safe in this stranger's house.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird that his boss is like, you know, standing over the top of him with this huge knife. But yeah, he's fine. He's in good hands. They go do their dance. Kind of fun. Like it's the classic, you know, you can picture like what the dances look like with all these characters.
Yeah.
That classic 70s style cartoon character dance. You've seen it a billion times. It's classic. But the creeper shows up to the dance and he shuts off the power. We can't dance in the dark. Everyone's freaking out except for Fred, who's just kind of like, everyone shut up.
Shut up. We're going to the malt shop instead. Yeah.
We're going to go drink malts. Quit your whining.
Yeah. Scooby and Shaggy offer to stay behind as a cleanup crew so they can eat all the leftover food.
Which they do.
They go to dump the rest of it outside by the ugly scarecrow, which ends up being the creeper. And here's where Velma's glasses get knocked off again because they get scared off.
Yeah, of course. You know, they run into Velma, glasses fall off. They run and jump into a haystack. Fred and Daphne come over to see what the commotion is, where Velma is looking for her glasses. Creeper's running at them. I love this. They're just like, nope. Fred and Daphne run away and just ditch Velma to die. They join Shaggy and Scooby in the hay bale too. And Velma's just still there looking for her glasses, which I thought was just hilarious. They're just let her die. Who cares?
Yeah, Fred ends up throwing or turning the blank document that he has that the creeper is seeking, because the creeper keeps saying like, creeper, paper. And then, so they're like, okay, so he's after this blank sheet of paper. We don't know why yet. And Fred turns it into a paper airplane, throws it down so that he can keep it away from the creeper. And then it turns into a long chase scene where they're on a buggy and then the creeper is chasing them on a horse. At one point, this horse and the creeper fall off a cliff and then they just bounce right back up with no explanation as to why. Like, we don't even need to see what was down there. They just bounce up. It's like, oh, okay, they're fine. It's like, you could have at least had them like jump over it or something.
Trampolines.
I get that you don't want to show this like dude and this horse just die from falling off this cliff, but at least have a reason.
It's kind of like, why write it in there then? Like, why did that even get animated in?
Yeah. It's just strange.
Just for fun, I guess. All of that stuff is happening to one of the Britpop songs, as you said, which has some of the weirdest lyrics. Like one of the lyrics was like walking down the street with my ostrich. Oh my God, yeah.
What? Ostrich and keeping your head in the sand. It was a weird song, but yeah, that's what they were running to. And at a certain point, so this is where you can tell it's getting more like on the playful side. Because Scooby and Shaggy go hide in a chicken hut and Scooby dresses up as a chicken. And by dresses up as a chicken, I just mean like he just has like the red like crest on his head, like a red glove on his head. Clearly not a chicken. It's just this big dog with the red thing in his head. But the creeper looks in. He's like, all right. And just like leaves. Like he doesn't suspect anything.
Definitely not here.
Yeah. And then like Shaggy comes up. I guess Shaggy was nesting under him. And then Scooby gets off of this egg he was sitting on. It ends up hatching. And for the rest of the episode, this chick is following Scooby thinking it's his mom.
Yeah, and barks because
and it starts barking.
Because he hears Scooby bark, so he thinks he's a dog. And this baby chick is with Scooby for the whole rest of the episode, which is kind of funny. The inevitable time in which somebody finally throws Scooby a Scooby snack, so he does something brave. The baby chick snatches it and eats it instead. So Scooby never gets his snack.
But about that, so the reason that Scooby gets thrown a Scooby snack is because Fred, so they find a bridge that has been folded up away from them to this open cave in the side of this cliff. So they're like, okay, maybe this is a creeper's hideout. We got to get in there. And then they're like, Fred offers Scooby up to do it. He's like, hey, I bet Scooby can make it over there. Why would you send your dog over this cliff to try to do this? Because all that's supporting him are these two little ropes that the bridge usually sits on. But he sends him over and he's like, he doesn't want to at first, but then he's like, will you do it for a Scooby snack? And so that's what convinces him to do it. But he is scared the whole time. And Fred's just like, you got this. You can do it, Scooby. It's like, man, Fred, going back to what I said the first episode, he has no regard for his friends.
I feel like Fred is like, I don't know. If it was these days, he'd be pulling a cell phone out and he's like, watch this. I bet I can get him to do it. Hey, you want to do it for a Scooby snack? I'm totally going to put this online. I'm going to put this on TikTok. It's going to get so many views. Hey, jump over this clip. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's Fred.
I was surprised by that. But of course, he makes it over. Everything's fine. And here's where we get an actual red herring, kind of, where it's just a hermit of the hills is what he calls himself.
That's
It's
what he
just
calls
this
himself,
like
yeah.
homeless dude. Oh, I guess his home is the cave. It's this dude
Yeah.
who's just in there like cooking up some stew, wants to share it with them. They're like, oh God, like this is definitely the creeper, probably. Daphne says he looks worse than the creeper. Yeah.
Crack me up.
He's offering them
man.
a stew of squirrel, bat wings, and some other garbage that he found. I can't remember.
Delicious.
Shaggy actually tasted. I was expecting Shaggy to taste it, be like, oh, this is pretty good. But even Shaggy was like, no, this is gross. If Shaggy doesn't like it, you know it's bad.
Yeah. So they decide that cave guy too creepy for them. So they run back to their van, but the creeper's in the van, just like he's going to drive it.
Yeah, because they're about to turn this dude into the sheriff thinking he's the creeper. And that's when they get to the van with the creeper waiting for them.
He's just like, paper.
Yeah.
He gets out to chase them. Velma straight kicks this dude in the shin.
Yeah.
And that made me laugh so hard.
It was a really funny scene because she was just like, you wouldn't hit someone with glasses on, would you? And so he rips her glasses off and is about to punch her. And then she kicks him in the shin. She
kicks him so hard. And so he drops the glasses and she gets them back on and keeps running. But it's just like, man, like she's so sassy and violent. It's great. There was another part in this episode that we missed earlier. I totally forgot, that ended up with all of them jumping Shaggy again and beating him up.
That's right.
That happened before they crossed the bridge, as they were both groups are running at some point. Shaggy ran out and then Fred's like, get him, jumped him, starts beating him up again. Why not, man?
No one questions why the chick is barking. Like no one, they see it, they hear it, but no one says anything about it.
But back where we are here, everyone ends up in the barn and they end up in this big bunch of hay, all like fighting. Like literally they are fighting in this big hay bale that's sitting on top of a baler machine, except for Scooby and the chick, which is on top of his head. And the chick's just like pointing at it like, hey, I've never seen this before, but I know how this works. Points at the button and Scooby's like, okay. Hits it, puts everybody in a bale of hay, including Creeper. And then you unmask Creeper. Guess who it is?
It's Mr. President.
Carswell.
Yep.
Yeah. So they get the sheriff who is back from vacation, I guess. And turns out the paper they had was an undeveloped photo, and you can develop photos with a lighter, which is cool, I guess.
I questioned that a little bit, but I was like, you know what? It's fine.
Yeah.
It was an elaborate kind of elaborate scheme that
very elaborate scheme.
The president had cooked up, the bank president had cooked up, where he's just like, okay, so when I leave the bank, I'm going to steal money from it. But before anyone notices, I'm going to dress up as the creeper that same night, come up there, pretend I'm breaking into the bank, and then leave. And that's it. But I guess unbeknownst to him, the bank guard had set up an infrared camera to catch the thief in the act. Not like a video camera, just like a camera to take pictures if anybody like walked into a certain range. And so that's what ended up happening, because we also saw some like torn up negatives earlier, some film negatives.
Yeah, in an abandoned car.
Yeah. So the reason that he was after these papers the whole time was because, like you said, it was the undeveloped film. And the whole thing was like, the flame will tell the creeper. That was just saying that, like, just hold the flame up to these pictures to develop them, basically.
I mean, he could have just said, develop the photo.
Yeah.
and not been cryptic about it, but, you know, it is what it is.
He was out of it.
I guess. I mean, yeah, I've had concussions and you do say some goofy things.
I know how it is when you first wake up. You say the weirdest stuff.
It is true.
And the Scooby ends up taking the chick back to his mother, obviously. So but then like more chicks hatch and Scooby becomes a mother hen of like 5 or 6 of them. So who knows?
It's true.
Well, Chris, looks like it's about time we send it to our kids to help Scooby-Doo and crew solve the latest mystery, or maybe just have them dress up as little zombies, get in contact with that witch, scare off Mystery Inc., and then earn themselves a portion of some of that sweet swamp treasure. Then see what they thought of the show. Scooby-Doo, where are you?
This show is super fun and full of all kinds of creepy monsters, but it does kind of get ruined once you realize it's always just going to be a boomer in disguise.
I always have a great time watching Scooby-Doo shows, so I had fun getting to see where it all started, with the gang breaking into establishments illegally and resorting to violence surprisingly quickly. For some reason, that made the show even better to me. Does that make me a master sleuth in training, or just a bad person? It's a mystery.
Well, with that said, what are some of the things that you like about this show?
While the animation itself was pretty plain, I am and have always been in love with those amazing backgrounds. Like, something about them was just delightfully ominous. And like I said, no matter what time of day it was or where they went, it was always dark and adjacent to a foggy swamp in some way.
It's always a foggy swamp somewhere within throwing distance.
Like, they're walking home from the movie theater through a foggy swamp. Yeah. Either way, like, I would totally lock multiple archaeology professors inside of ancient statues to own some of those cells.
Oh my good. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Like, I really want to get my hands on like a cell of, like, I don't want any of the characters in it. I just want the backgrounds, man. Oh, they're so gorgeous. I've looked at a few, or I've looked for a few online before, and they can be pretty pricey, but I think just at least getting my hands on one might be worth it because they really are art, man. They're so beautiful.
Yeah, I just want it blown up and hung on the wall. Like, it's just amazing looking. Any of them.
For sure. Yeah.
Also, I think, like, this show, even though it had certain things that it repeated every episode, it didn't lean on the repeat gags as much as I thought it did coming into it. Even though the person dressed up as a monster or local legend persisted, the approaches they took to every episode was a lot more varied than I had remembered. Like, that meddling kids thing only comes up once in all the episodes we watched, and I think they only ever allude to that phrase that we're so familiar with 4 other times in the original series out of the 40-something episodes. And it's never the full, and I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids thing until after the series in like movies and video games and stuff. So that particular phrase took on a life of its own in later iterations, but that's what we associate with Scooby-Doo. It's almost like the Luke, I am your father misquote, or like a weird Mandela effect. Like, everybody remembers them saying that, but they don't say that until much later past the series.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I didn't even think about that part of it, but you're totally right. That stuff would have come later, I think, because we sure didn't see any of that here.
Yeah, the first guy didn't even say anything. He's like, well, I accept my fate.
Yeah, he's just like, give me the chair. Let's get it over with.
I deserve it. Okay, last thing, because there's really a lot to like about this show, but I wanted to mention the monsters themselves, like we were talking about earlier. They weren't all gems, but the ones that were have really stuck in my collective memory and given me a great hit of nostalgia anytime I see them referenced anywhere. The most iconic to me, as I said, were Charlie the Funland Robot, the Space Kook, and the Creeper, which is what we got to watch in that last episode. And I know at some point this is going to become a YouTube video, so smash that like button, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite Scooby-Doo monster was.
Oh, dang it. Oh, man.
I am curious for real, though, what people's favorites were, because
I would love to know that.
I think I really feel like there will be a good Venn diagram of a lot of ones that meet up with each other, like a lot of favorites across the board.
I also really like there was the clown, too, the creepy clown that I really like also. That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good clown.
It's almost like it's very similar to like the Batman Rogues Gallery from the animated series. Is like they did such a good job with all of the villainous characters, making them stand out, making them all just have this really good creepy aesthetic and making you like love them, even though they are supposed to be like the villains of the thing. There's just something so intriguing about each one of them that you can't not like want to see them. So they did an excellent job with that stuff of building intrigue in this show using that. And it kind of boggles my mind a little bit in just the ways they were able to pull that off, because I really doubt that was what they were going for. I'm sure what they were really trying to build up was Scooby and his buddies, which they did a good job, obviously, because we're still having shows, today starring those characters. But like you said, like I can't forget those original monsters and stuff and disguises. They will forever be solidified in my brain.
Yeah, and I wonder if a lot of it is just the aesthetics of it from when we were kids. It just hits a certain spot of our brain. Because even if the underlying episode wasn't great or had didn't have a good resolution to it or something, it's like the monster, just the way that they looked was so memorable that they just stuck in your mind.
Yeah, I could see that. It's almost like no matter what, if the episode was like good or bad, something sticks with you anyway, which is kind of like almost like the perfect storm for a cartoon like that. That's like, I don't know, it almost kind of made it unfallible.
Yeah.
That word?
Infallible.
I don't know. Sure, one of those. And, and even if it is kind of cheesy and predictable, it's still really fun and it's pretty entertaining. And what's interesting, too, is honestly, if you think about it, this show really spawned and influenced the reasons why the show feels cheesy and predictable now. It's because so many cartoons and other shows imitate or pay homage to this show that the formula, the gags, the tropes and stuff, so many things came out of this that now it's a lot of the things that you see are so common that back in the day when this first came out, I'm sure it wasn't super tropey, but now it feels like it is because this kind of set the standard. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah. So I just think that that's an interesting way to look at it too, is even if it does feel really goofy and hokey in that way, it's because this is what set the bar for what that stuff was. So yeah, I just think that's a really interesting thought. And like we were talking about earlier, as we were going through the episodes, I think the characters were all way better than I remember, aside from maybe Daphne, but especially Velma, man, she's spunky. Just seeing her kick dude in the shin, and some of her really quippy, snappy lines were hilarious. And also just a few times just seeing how they weren't so goody two shoes as I remember. They're actually pretty reckless. Yeah. And at times they'll get a little violent, softly violent, which was really funny to see.
Yeah, they were not afraid to break into an establishment or say, "Get them!" and beat people up.
And start punching someone. Yeah. I mean, the only time they did express violence, it was at their own friends, but whatever. That said, though, what were some of the things that you disliked, or any stuff that you were I don't know, had concerns over?
I guess, like I was talking about earlier, and maybe it was just in the episodes we watched specifically, but it seems like Daphne was originally only there to look cute or be a damsel in distress, because she really didn't have the same kind of personality like Velma did, or Fred in maybe troublesome ways, but Fred at least had a personality.
Yeah.
Everybody else seemed to either pull their weight or have a standout personality in some way. But hers was usually just either to go with Fred when the team would split up and hunt for clues, or like I said, just be a victim to whatever the monster was. And I maybe it's not like that all the time, but from what we saw, she was a pretty boring character. And I'm glad that in later versions of the series, they really picked that up and make her into a substantial character. But it was just at this point, I don't think they knew what to do with her. And so she was just kind of bland.
Yeah, I think they probably did want the good looking girl character that could pose as the damsel, that could be the, possible implied love interest for the male lead guy. And also someone to give reactions, because she a lot of times she would be the one that would be giving just the normal, I don't know, run of the mill reactions to situations, whereas the others would have their things like jinkies or jeepers or yikes. She'd just be like, oh gosh.
Yeah. So I wonder if she was intended to be played as like the everyman or every woman in this situation, but I just wish they'd played that up more.
If she was intended to be that, I don't think they did a great job.
Yeah, exactly. I know they tried to remedy this in season 3 that came, 8 years after the fact by focusing more, not remedy it by fixing her character, but by focusing more on Scooby in the similar way that, not to the extreme that Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters did, but to where Scooby becomes more of a comical character and has more interaction with the monsters and stuff, and like dresses up as a lot of different things. So season 3 is mainly focused on Scooby, for better or for worse. And from what I hear, it's for worse.
It's interesting to think about, too, that when it comes to a lot of the movies that come later, rather than ditching Daphne, they ditch Fred and Velma instead. And it's just
for 13
Daphne.
Ghost, yeah.
Yeah, it's just Daphne, Scooby, and Shaggy, which I thought was really interesting.
So I wonder if they were trying to fix the disservice they did to her in the original series.
I don't know. I really
flesh her out a little bit more, but I'm not sure.
I honestly have no idea. I do agree with that. There's 2 other things I was thinking of. One, I think for the time period, I think the animations are right. Definitely not the cleanest. Lots of mistakes, especially with colors appearing outside of character lines here and there. Definitely not unheard of for that time period, but it wasn't clean. But I think the remaster definitely looks better. It looks a lot more crisp. But I mean, the original isn't too bad either. It's a little washed out here and there, but not horrible. I think the one thing is that, extremely repetitive formula. And I think that within that, though, there's still a lot of fun to be had. But the beats that it does hit, I mean, it's going to happen every single time. It's like you said before, the person that tells the legend, that's going to be, the person that gets revealed in the end. And I also think that sometimes the reveals are pretty convoluted because, even if they do find some clues here and there, it's like there's no way anyone would come to some of the conclusions Fred or Velma do once they unmask like the ghoul or whatever. I think it would be a little bit more fun if there were better clues to hint at rather than kind of relying more on knowing the formula as the way of figuring out, who it is. But at the time, this was newer territory, so I got to give it a little bit of grace. But it's like the idea of like, oh, this was a photograph. That could only mean that the bank teller was like going to the bank twice. And once he was actually stealing and once he was posing as the creeper. And this video camera was up there and he had no idea. It's like, man, you guys didn't know any of that. You just like reveal it at the end for the audience. It's like it'd be a little bit more fun if there was enough clues to really let the audience kind of like figure the things out too along with them. But I don't know. That's me being critical.
Yeah. Like some stuff like hidden in the background, even that like audience could spot and be like, oh, I think I know. And so they could like form their own opinions on what it might be. But instead, we're pretty much left in the dark until Fred and Velma tell us what it was. Like, oh, OK, I guess that makes sense. But how did you figure it out?
Yeah, exactly. It's always like we know who it is just because like, well, it's obviously going to be the old man that you spoke to because it's the only other character we've been introduced to.
Yeah.
But it's like, OK, but how did you guys like get to a rational conclusion of one, it's him, and two, like somehow how he did everything? I don't buy that, but it is what it is.
And it doesn't even sound like they're sharing information with each other. They're just like, I'll tell you later.
Yeah, never.
So ultimately, what would you give Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
I mean, regardless, it's a classic. I love it. I've got huge nostalgia for it. I'm trying desperately to put aside a lot of that nostalgia and judge it more objectively right now. One thing that helps, though, is knowing that regardless of how I feel about it, it's got a huge influence it's had on the industry. And possibly it's had more influence on the industry more than any other cartoon in history. It doesn't mean it's without its imperfections, because it's got plenty, but it's still so super fun. So I ended up giving Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? 4.5 bowls of Jeepers, It's Old Man Crowley cereal out of 5.
Yeah, I really enjoyed stepping back into this classic though admittedly a lot of that may have been nostalgia. So while the pacing of Scooby-Doo Where Are You might be a little dated for younger audiences, especially, you have to appreciate the epic franchise that it started and the many shows it inspired in its wake, or whether in the form of a new series, movies, comics, video games, or whatever. This is a franchise that I hope never ends because I don't think my October would feel complete without a little dose of Scooby-Doo. So overall, I'd give Scooby-Doo Where Are You 4.5 big bowls of creeper paper cereal out of 5. And even if you don't want to go back and watch the entire series, it's well worth your time to watch a few choice episodes, especially during a spooky season.
Yeah, this is the perfect time to go back and watch more. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's somewhere else aside from HBO Max. I'm still mad at you, HBO Max, but whatever. Anyway, please continue sharing clips of our episodes or your favorite episodes on social media, which is a quick and free way to support our show and help us grow our audience. Thank you to all those that have been doing so already and providing that extra support. We're also experimenting with a new live podcast over on Twitch that you can catch on Mondays at 7 p.m. Central. So if you like this show and are interested in some live content from Joseph and myself and others from Nerd Sloth, we're doing the live Nerd Sloth podcast there at twitch.tv/nerdsloth. Again, that's Mondays at 7 p.m. Central. We also have 3 amazing new merch designs available in the store this month of October that you have to check out. Starting today, really, is when they're going live on our store. The 3 designs are the Ghost Critic, which is a cute little ghost sitting in a movie chair theater booing us. Then we've got our cute little Cult of the Sloth Leader and our homage to horror comics of the past with the halftone print Zombie Sloth design. All those can be found by heading to nerdsloth.com and clicking on store. Lots of deals to be going on and off throughout this month on all of our merch, so don't miss them when they go on sale, or it'll be scary.
And thank you, Kaitlyn W, for suggesting this. It was nice to step back into this. I don't think I've seen Scooby-Doo Where Are You for easily over a decade.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Kaitlyn. It was a great little trip down memory. Man, I was getting so many just childhood memories too, watching this and remembering specific places I was when I saw certain episodes for the first time and just reminiscing on the environment I was in when I was watching this. Man, it was so cool.
Even hearing some of those intros and outros would trigger memories in me. It was just so nice. Those were ones I just sat through. I didn't want to skip over them. I just I enjoyed them, and it gives you a good kind of preview of all the little monsters and everything. It's just awesome.
Yeah, it makes me want to watch more of it. So I probably will watch a few more episodes at least to some of the monsters that I really liked and remembered. So I'm really happy.
They're actually coming out with a new Scooby-Doo movie this year. I think this October. I'm trying to remember what it's called. I think it's Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo is coming out October 18th of this year. So that's one I'm going to check out. It seems perfect for the season. And it looks like it's got the regular cast we know and love.
All right.
Matthew Lillard,
sounds good.
Grey Delisle, Kate McCucci, and Frank Welker. So yeah, definitely going to check it out.
Yeah, I would love to check that out too. And thank you to our Patreon supporters that helped us pick the 2 episodes. We ditched the highest rated one because we really liked the 2 episodes that you picked for us. So we were just like, you know what? Let's do more Patreon picks this week instead. So that's what we did.
That's how we got to see the Creeper. It was totally worth it.
Yes, it was worth it. Yeah.
Well, listeners, looks like our milk supply is now run dry. So it's time for us to say goodbye. And next week, for the second episode of our OCTOONBER celebration, we'll be watching
Skeleton Warriors, suggested via Twitch by Ben Grimm 1 and via Patreon by 80s Power Extreme.
Oh, man. Skeleton Warriors. I don't know that that's how the song goes, but that's how I'm remembering it.
I don't know. I've never seen it, but I have seen a lot of images from it. And based on that alone, I'm ready.
I hope this one holds up a lot better than Mutant League did, and I think it will.
Someone messaged us recently to tell us that every episode of Mutant League has been released online. And I was just kind of thinking, why?
Yeah.
Because it was real bad.
I don't think that's a world I'm going to step back into.
No,
Maybe the video games, but not the series.
not the series, but hopefully this. So we've had a lot of people just hoping that we would get to Skeleton Warriors soon. And I remember like one of our last Twitch streams, I said, think you all are going to be happy this year. So here we are.
We've made it.
We made it.
Well, once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
We'll see you next Saturday. Ooh.
Presented by Nerdsloth.
A place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.